Hey everybody, it's Carrie. I'm here at the Paste Studio with Joel Osment.
Hello.
I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to you about Future Man, a hilarious Back to the Future type show, which I had not seen it, and then I watched it to prepare for this, and
Nice.
I was like, wow.
It's a lot,
It
yeah.
is nuts.
Yeah.
Are you a hologram?
Yeah, I don't mind if people check because you never know in that show. We had to shoot like all the stuff with me and Eliza because she's playing two clones of herself. We had to shoot it once for one clone, once for the other clone, and then a third time because I'm not allowed to touch solid objects. So we had to remove things and put them back. It was really grueling, a grueling process.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. What do you
Yeah.
think about a hologram as a person?
I think that's probably inevitable. You know, it's a pretty silly comedy that we're doing, but it's the underpinnings are real. You know, there probably will be a total ecological apocalypse, and people probably will try to preserve themselves as holograms or thing. Well, I mean, I saw Tupac in concert in 2014, so we know it's possible.
You imagine if he was thinking and talking to you?
Yeah.
It would be beyond bizarre.
Well, they actually, for a very serious thing, they did it for, Steven Spielberg just did a thing at the Shoah Foundation where they were preserving testimonials from survivors because we're getting to a point where that generation is passing away very quickly, to have interactive questions things for students to be able to upload a lot of stories from people and then do it. So I think the technology is definitely like coming to be. Yeah.
Oh my word. See, this is why I'm not polite to the Alexa. Because
I will
every
not
time
have
I
one
say,
of those in my home. Yeah.
Okay, my husband got one. And I'm always like, I say something to it, and then I'm like, thanks. I'm like, stop it. You're feeding it. You're treating it like a person.
Definitely.
My southern politeness can't stop it. Can't stop myself.
They calibrate different ones for different regions of the country. In New York, it's a little different.
But talking about physical things and preserving, we were just talking about records and music.
Yeah, we're surrounded by some really cool stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
we are.
Yeah.
What kind of records are you into buying right now?
There is a great shop in Eagle Rock in California called Rap Cats, and they have a lot of the things you'll see today, even when brick and mortar record shops are sometimes not being able to keep up with the rent in this city in Los Angeles. The people who own them still have those collections and will do pop-ups at certain record stores. So really great obscure. They have a lot of great Brazilian music and just really off-the-wall stuff. And I cannot compete with the real dedicated longtime collectors of records, but I like to go pick out a couple new things to have,
That's very cool. Tell me too about working on Future Man, because I want to tell you something we have in common. We have both worked in a show with Josh Hutcherson.
Oh, that's great. What'd you work on with him?
Oh, I'm going to show you a picture, a hilarious picture. It's a little bit like Where's Waldo? But you will see. Oh, look, it's the Hunger Games.
Oh, because of Atlanta, of course. It all makes sense.
I was like, yeah. People at home, you can see something. Watch the clip. Play
That's
a game.
great.
But he was very funny and very cool with people, and I would guess that's fun to work with people that are so funny like him and Seth.
Yeah, it really is. And it's, the gift of working on a series for more than one season is that you get to maintain those relationships and you get to hang out again for another adventure. So we really enjoy each other's company. Yeah.
What's it like playing a bad guy?
I think it's almost always more fun than playing the good guy. And that goes back to like John Milton with Satan being the most interesting character in Paradise Lost. The villain's always more interesting, and the past couple of years I've gotten the chance to play a lot of different sorts of villains, be they I guess I don't want to spoil anything for this project, but be it the guy from Entourage or the guy from Silicon Valley who turned out to be not so great, so that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I would think I would like to play a bad guy someday.
Absolutely.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to be evil on purpose.
It is,
no
yeah.
ramifications.
Well, yeah, because you want to avoid it in day-to-day life, so you sort of get to get it out of your system there. Yeah.
Kind of go into that place that everybody kind of probably has.
Yes, yeah. It's in everybody probably.
I think so, but not as terrible as, let's say, Ted Bundy.
No,
Oh,
that's
word.
kind of an exponent of evil. Yeah, it's that whole story is so crazy. And that movie, Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, which I'm getting so great at saying correctly. Wasn't so great at it at the beginning. But
to be honest with you, that's why I said Ted Bundy. So I was
Yeah.
scared I'd butcher it.
It might because, what was that movie with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt? It became known as Live, Die, Repeat because that was it was Edge of Tomorrow, but they kind of just changed the title over time. This might turn into Zac Efron, Ted Bundy. Like that might be the new title of our movie. But I think the original title is a great title. It looks great in the font that we have on the poster. And it follows Ted Bundy's trial, starting from his first arrest and his 2 escapes from prison. He jumped out. Well, the first time he jumped out of the courthouse window after asking to use the library during a break in his trial, hiked through the mountains in Aspen, and then boarded a plane to Chicago and was just on the loose for a really long time. Then later in the 1980s, he lost 50 pounds in prison, cut a hole in the ceiling, somehow acquired civilian clothes, and walked out the front door of the prison. So he was a frighteningly wily guy.
Yeah. Everything about it is very creepy.
Yeah.
That, though, kind of creepy movie, because I would assume it's kind of scary. Have you seen it?
Just parts of it, just through ADR and everything. So when I go to, it'll be premiering at Sundance on the 24th. That'll be my first time seeing the final product, yeah.
But to me, that kind of scary movie is upsetting, but, like, better than a real horror film, because you know that there's justice in the end.
Yes, it is good to have that safety valve.
Like, I'm like, okay, this is bad, and it might upset me, but I know that it ends the way it should.
It's pretty nuts, you know?
But still,
it's
unbelievable.
We worked with some of the actual newsmen who had covered his trials, and one of the guys told us that he was walking down the hallway of the courthouse in Florida during the last trial, and he heard somebody go like, "Hey, Frank." And it was Ted Bundy, who had been studying his own media coverage and had recognized him from Utah, and it was sort of a moment of like, I know who you are. And you're like, oh, not going to sleep well at night until he's executed. Like, yeah.
I did not know he'd gotten out of prison twice.
Twice, yeah. And the irony is that had he not jumped out of the window of the courthouse, he probably would have been acquitted on the first trial because this was the 70s before DNA evidence, and he had really effectively exploited people's disbelief that, you know, this clean-cut, you know, handsome, intern in the Republican Party who was college educated could commit these brutal crimes. So, yeah, not good.
Very scary.
Yeah.
What's it like to grow up in the public eye?
I feel fortunate that I did it back then and not now. I think it's a lot harder now. There's really no safe way to engage with social media and no rational surrendering of your privacy. And the people who are really good at social media and use it really effectively have surrendered that privacy and any kind of intimacy, I think, in their personal lives as a result of it. I mean, I didn't get a smartphone or social media until I was like 27, and that was because the publicists for the movies were like, "This is how you market things now. Like, we really need you to get a Twitter and everything." So I played ball. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to obey the experts. I
Absolutely,
guess.
Yeah. I want people to see the movies, you know.
Well, there's a difference between promoting a movie or promoting, you know, stuff you've got going on that's fun and sharing a lot of personal details, too.
The thing is, like, even if you aren't someone who's recognizable, just the information people willingly get, like the DNA thing that they are now using for genetic research, everyone who did that agreed to that. This 10-year challenge thing with 2009 to 2019, everyone's like, that actually just might be great metadata for them to train facial recognition software through aging. So it's all a trap.
I will say my husband is a tech contract lawyer, and he said that same thing about I don't want to name one, but of those DNA testings that they can take your stuff. So he's like,
they have literally your DNA. So,
but if someone related to you does it, then somehow it can come back to you too. So
it's a complicated ethical question because they caught the Golden State Killer that way, but it was like they also kind of just dug into everybody's medical history to do it. So I don't know.
It's strange times. I think that's what's so interesting about a show like Future Man that kind of explores that in a funny way. Like, what are we doing by trying to eradicate something or bring something back? Like, what's the long-term ramification of some of that?
We really take that seriously, too. And I think season 2 gets really complex because the 3 main characters, especially the 2 of them, have always been, you know, warriors, fighting for a righteous cause. And Josh has been caught up in that and thinks that he can save people and is willing to even sacrifice himself to save people. But there's this almost like Greek mythological lesson that like when you try and change fate, when you try and alter things through time travel, there's just all these other problems that are caused. So it's complicated.
Yeah, good intentions and all, but
Yeah.
not always good results.
Yeah.
Where would you travel to in time?
I really, just because of what a big fan of music I am, I think those special times in the 60s and early 70s, I think that would be a cool time to live in. And that was kind of like the last time where people believed that, like, those movements could, like, change society and everything. And now, like, in this day and age, we're like, oh, we're just sort of waiting for the end. Like, there's that Vonnegut quote where he's like, in the Vietnam War, like, I'm definitely paraphrasing, like, every intellectual and artistic mind in the country was aimed like a laser against the war, and it had the effect of a cream pie dropped from a ladder. And you're like, yeah. Kind of like, it's kind of heavy stuff. So I'd like to go back to the time when we believed that those changes were possible. Yeah.
Oh, I want to still believe.
I know. Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
I think if enough people really believe and show those kindness and good things to like their neighbor,
Yeah.
you know, in your circle.
I think Bill McKibben, the environmental activist, he said like the most. It might not even be him. I'm just paraphrasing wildly today. But
okay.
He said something like the most noble thing you can do is try to work for change that you will not see in your own lifetime. So that's a good way to do it. Is that it's not just for personal benefit. Just decency and kindness and trying to have that national parks attitude of leaving no trace, I guess.
That's
or
true.
no bad trace, yeah.
Planting a tree for your tomorrow.
Yes.
John Denver.
Exactly. A great guy.
That's a good quote, I think. See, is that a paraphrase or a quote? I don't even know.
In this day and age, who knows?
Someone can fact check it, unfortunately.
I love that when it's like the picture of Thomas Jefferson on Twitter and it's a quote and it's like all quotes on the internet are fake. Like,
I think a lot of times that is the case.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely.
Tell me some things that you like to do in LA.
In Los Angeles,
I've not spent much time there.
You know, I grew up there, and then I moved here when I was 18, and it was very easy for a long time to go like, this is a real city. Like, I'm never going back to Los Angeles. I work in the entertainment industry, so I have no choice but to be in Los Angeles for quite a bit of the year. And as I've gotten older, I have sort of fallen back in love with it. And there were just great guides. Like, I mean, Jonathan Gold, I think, was one of the greatest ambassadors for our city, just of all of the amazing of international food options that you have here. And although it sounds insane to say this, I think that LA has probably become a more exciting city than New York for food, although this is still a world-class place for it. It's just, you can really find everything. So food's a big part of it. And then you have classic venues for music and a great music scene there. And I'm a big Dodger fan, so I go to a lot of games every year. I live pretty close to the stadium.
Oh, do you?
That's a big thing for me.
That's very fun. Do you play music?
I do, yeah, just as a hobby. Yeah.
What do you play?
Mostly guitar and drums, but I can mess around on piano and bass as well.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So, like, you could pick one of these up?
Oh, you know, theoretically, yeah.
I'm not going to ask you to prove it.
Okay, good. Then absolutely, yeah. I could start shredding right here, yeah.
I mean, unless you want to.
I actually have that amp. That's the
You
Vox
do not.
AC30, yeah. Yep,
do you play in a band or you just play for fun?
No, I don't play in a band. Like, a lot of my friends are musicians, so it's just like a hobby for stuff like that. But we did actually... We've been talking about music so much on set for Future Man. A bunch of us got a practice space in Culver City over the holiday and just like messed around in there for a couple hours, and that was a lot of fun.
Like other cast and crew?
Yeah. Derek was there, the writers, Kyle and Ari, and I think we're gonna do it again. We're gonna get Josh and Eliza in there. So
that would be very cool.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Yeah, somebody
See,
did.
that would be good on social media.
Yeah, it would. Oh, this is just for us though. The pureness
well,
of the
I know,
jam.
just the pureness of the jam, but sometimes.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we're definitely gonna play the rap party. Yeah. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to have a hobby that you can actually use and, you know,
it's a lifelong
thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's and it's just something that is mostly just for me by myself, and it brings me a lot of happiness. So
it's good personal therapy. Mm-hmm. You know, kind of get some feelings out that way.
Definitely, yeah.
It's better than running. You know, some people do that instead.
Definitely.
I'd rather sit
running
down at
is so
piano.
dangerous. You can mess up your hip. Yeah,
that's why I don't do it.
Yeah, that's the only reason I don't do it. Yeah.
I'm always like, should I work out? Yeah. I'm like, I'll skip a cookie and not work out. But I definitely sometimes will still go sit down at the piano. I'm so glad my parents.
You play piano? That's
I
good.
do.
That's the one I really feel the most inadequate at and want to like try and force myself to, because I can't really read music fast enough to play and read. So, yeah.
Just learn some chords and then you can get on it. But I enjoy it, and then kind of sit for a minute and then get back to whatever real thing I have to do, like write or
Did you
parent my kids.
Did you take lessons as a kid?
I did.
That's the
I'm very
one, the
grateful.
only serious complaint I could ever have with my parents is, and I'm saying now, I was like, why didn't you force me to learn the piano for years and years and years? The thing that all my other friends complained about being forced to do, and now I wish I had that.
I am so glad
Yeah.
you said that. And I'm going to show this clip to my kids because I do make them take lessons.
Yeah. Oh, you do? Oh,
yeah,
great.
I
Passing
do.
along the tradition.
So
Yeah.
the one takes piano, and then they both do guitar.
That's great.
So
yeah.
I'm trying not to be too pushy, but a little pushy.
Yeah.
Right?
You got
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not football, it's not dangerous. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you might sprain a finger, but
Yeah.
it'll be okay.
I stretch them out beforehand.
Take care of
I don't
that.
have really big hands, so that's kind of another barrier to entry for that.
Yeah, but I can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
It's something to do. And it's always good to be learning new things,
It is.
no
definitely.
matter how old we get.
It's a great. I mean, with acting and with me, with all these, with the arts, it's great. There's no like finish line. You can't just like rise to the top of the company and retire. Like it's something you continue learning until your dying day.
Yeah, but how cool is it that you got to get started so early?
Very
and not
lucky.
have to. I mean, I know that's kind of probably a positive and a negative because it.
I don't
Change
know. Like
things?
there's unique challenges when people associate you with roles from your childhood and everything. But it's a good challenge and a challenge that makes you grow because there are roles I was doing right out of college where I think a lot of people didn't even know it was me, and in some of those movies, and that's a great feeling for an actor to completely disappear into a role.
Yeah, well, that was probably good
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
And you already had your job picked out.
exactly. Yeah.
Didn't have that stress. Is there anything you want people to really get from Future Man? Like, what's the thing about Future Man that you think people maybe don't get when they watch it? Like, what's something hidden? Or is it all really obvious? But with somebody like Seth Rogen behind it, I always feel like maybe there's some, like, hidden thing I don't get.
I don't know. I
For
don't
a
think
regular
there's like a Room 237 style like hidden thing
Okay.
in there. But I guess it's just it rewards repeated viewings because the characters are engaging enough to that you can just sort of accept the weird time travel and alternate dimension things. But going back and really trying to keep track of what actually is happening in time and space, like there's another movie, a very different tone movie, but a great time travel movie called Primer. That they made for like $7,000 in Dallas, and there's no special effects or anything, but it's probably the most realistic, if you can call time travel realistic, depiction of it. And the chart of what actually is happening in the movie that is sort of hidden in what's happening because there's so much repetition is extremely complicated. And I think that we rival it, even though we have a lot of silly jokes in there as well.
I like the jokes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what keeps us coming
Life
back.
is better.
I think my favorite
jokes.
one, if you are looking for a secret thing in there, it's the Smash Mouth joke when Josh is in the trash yard smashing things with that cult. And he goes, because in the future, like everything is named a little bit different, and they call Lockjaw Smash Mouth. And he's like, and the worst thing is that they don't even know why that's funny. And Derek goes, hey now, I don't either.
That I like. Well, hey now, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
I really
It's nice
enjoyed
being
it.
here.
And I hope you have a good rest of your tour and
I will.
everybody sees your movie and your show.
That's all we can ask for. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.